Trustees, the time is now 5:01. Please stand by while the staff starts the live stream. President Davis, the live stream is now in progress. You may start the meeting.
November 19th regular board meeting of the Capistrano Unified School District. The meeting is now in session. This time is 5:02 p.m. Mrs. Hayes, please, or Ms. Swanky, please call the roll.
Trustee Castellanos?
Here.
Trustee Pritchard is absent. Trustee Zollinger?
Here.
Trustee Adams is absent. Trustee Jones?
Here.
Trustee Bullicus is absent, and Trustee Davis.
Here. Before we adopt the agenda, please note that staff has pulled agenda item 12B, notification of addendum to dashboard local indicators, teaching assignment monitoring data. May I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Second.
Moved by Trustee Zollinger, seconded by Trustee Jones. Ms. Schwenke, do we have any speaker cards regarding the adoption of the agenda?
We have none.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor of adopting the agenda say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0-3 to adopt the agenda. Ms. Swanky, before the board recesses to closed session, is there anyone who'd like to speak to a closed session agenda item?
We have none.
Thank you. The board will now recess to closed session to address the following agenda items. Conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, 2 cases. Conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, 1 case. Conference with real property negotiators, 1 case. Conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, 4 cases. Conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, 4 cases. Liability claims, 3 cases. The board will now recess to closed session.
President Davis, the live stream is in progress. You may start the meeting.
Good evening and welcome to the November 19th regular board meeting of the Capistrano Unified School District. The meeting is now in session. The time is 6:09 p.m. Please note, staff has pulled agenda item 12B, notification of addendum to dashboard local indicators, teaching assignment monitoring data. Ms. Swanky, can you please call the roll?
Student Board Member Hanson is absent this meeting. Trustee Castellanos?
Here.
Trustee Pritchard?
Present.
Trustee Zollinger is absent. Trustee Adams is absent. Trustee Jones?
Here.
Trustee Bullicus?
Here.
Trustee Davis.
Here. Pledge of Allegiance will be led by former trustee Martha McNicholas. Would you mind leading us in the flag salute?
Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ms. Schwenke, can you please read the report from closed session?
On agenda item 4A, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, trustees gave direction to staff. On agenda item 4B, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, existing litigation, excuse me, no reportable action. On agenda item 4C, existing property with property negotiators, trustee gave direction to staff. On agenda item 4D, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, trustees voted 601 to approve staff recommendation on the following ADR cases. Case numbers 2025-0925, case numbers 2025-1031, and case number 2025-1130. On public employee complaint appeal, trustees voted 601 to approve staff recommendation. On item 4E, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, trustees voted 601 to approve staff recommendation on the following OAH cases. Case number 2025-050761, 2025-051131, 2025-060516, and 2025-090907. On agenda item 4F, liability claims, trustees voted 601 to approve staff recommendations on the following cases. Liability claim number 2310575, liability claim number 2311787, and rejection to government claim number 2412543. This concludes the report.
Thank you. Now I'd like to ask you to turn your attention to our presentation screen as we have a short video to share about CUSD's Flex Academy, which is housed at Marblehead Elementary in San Clemente.
Hello, my name is Jamie Goodwin, and I'm the principal of Marblehead Flex Academy. We have an amazing program serving families in South Orange County. At Marblehead, we believe the learning should fit the child, not the other way around. Our Flex program supports families who value time together and students who learn best with freedom, creativity, and balance. Taught by caring, credentialed teachers, our students enjoy enrichment, flexibility, and all the friendships and experiences of a traditional school, from field trips to community events. At Marblehead, we're more than a school. We are an ohana, a place where every child belongs and every family feels at home.
I like the structure. I was overwhelmed by the idea of having to kind of do curriculum on my own and knowing what books to buy, and I don't know how to navigate all that. So I like that they give you the curriculum, all the paperwork, and you kind of keeps you on track. It's less intimidating.
I didn't want to do something full online because I wanted her to have that interaction, and I wanted her to have structured learning so that when she does go to high school, if we want to do fully, in-person high school or even college later on, she can know how to sit in the classroom, how to have, a structured learning environment.
We did straight homeschool before, and I really needed the support of the school. Nolan, my fourth grader, came in very low level of reading, and just this last, I think they do it trimester or last semester, he got a reading award. So thank you, Miss Ricks. I'm doing a shout out to her. And his reading is incredible. He just shot up. It's like he gained his confidence, and being in a classroom environment with a teacher, with peers. And again, it's only 2.5 days a week, but that's what he needed to be able to grow and succeed. So my kids are getting an amazing education here.
Thank you. So check out Flex Academy. It's, as they explained, a little hybrid for those families that are looking for that. And I'd like to recognize Dr. Chris Brown, who will present his opening comments, followed by the trustees.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the November 19th, 2025 business meeting for the CUSD Board of Trustees. And apologize for reading this one. Tonight, I want to acknowledge the painful loss of a 6th grade Niguel Hills Middle School student who lost his life walking to school yesterday. This tragedy has been on the front page of the Orange County Register, and several TV news outlets have produced stories. I am thankful for Principal Verricchio, our school counselors and psychologists, and all of the teachers and staff who are supporting Niguel Hills students as they mourn the loss of their classmate. I also want to share my appreciation for the Niguel Hills PTA, who's partnering with school administrators to support the student's family. Please keep them in all of your thoughts. Next week is Thanksgiving break, and I hope given this, that you all enjoy a safe and peaceful week away from school, and we look forward to seeing all of you back here in December as we finish up 2025 and move into 2026. This ends my report for the evening.
Thank you. Trustees? Okay, Trustee Bolkus?
Well, today we had the opportunity, Trustee Jones and I, to go to our central kitchen because there's always amazing things going on there. If you'll remember, we spoke about it, gosh, I can't remember, it was last month or the month before that, where we had a tour of the new expanded kitchen there. And our student advisor on the board, all of a sudden I'm thinking Addie, sorry, I lost her name, really enjoyed going. She was one of those who had shared that, if you recall, she never particularly liked cafeteria food and would tell her siblings and friends, you know, not to eat it. But after touring, she was so impressed with the recipes and the care that our staff puts into it. So today was the school lunch recipe contest. And we had students from elementary to high school that submitted their recipes. I don't know the total that was submitted, but we went there today and there was a whole group of different staff members along with us who tasted and voted. And the whole point is that the lucky winner of the contest, their recipe will be served to all of our students. So it's a really fun effort on their part to support students and for students to become involved, and that was fun. I just wanted to remind you again, going into the holiday season, that there's plenty of shows, whether it's instrumental music, vocal, drama plays, dance. I'm going to the Midsummer Jersey play at Tesoro tomorrow night. That's this weekend. And then San Juan Hills High School has their winter dance show. And I'm going to head over there Friday night. So there's plenty of great entertainment to see our students' talent. Check it out. It's on the calendars for the schools, and I highly recommend it. And just wish you all a very, very nice Thanksgiving holiday. Thank you.
Trustee Jones?
Good evening. Like Trustee Bullock said, we were at the recipe tasting today. And this is in the central kitchen, which is the old district headquarters. Kind of a small building. And someone there pointed out that off in the distance was the Instructional Media Center, which is where all the textbooks are kept. And I remarked that many years ago, our Instructional Media Center was in a building over next to Union High School, quite a small building. And this person was very surprised because we have so many books. And that it reminded me how many more AP classes, honors classes, we have more electives, more career education, language immersion classes, and all these things mean more books. So I think this represents in our district how many more choices we have. And people often talk to me, people who either don't have kids in school anymore or haven't really learned what their grandchildren are doing or whatever, about what school is like. And school is not at all like what we experienced. It's in many cases not even what our kids experienced. It's you know, if you have young students in school today, they're experiencing something totally different than even was available 15, 20 years ago. I think that this is true throughout California, but it's especially true in CUSD. I think we have a great program going here. I want to show my T-shirt of the month. This one I got from San Juan Elementary a few years ago. But I was there visiting earlier this year. It says, "Brillamos en dos idiomas." We shine in two languages. And I really like that sentiment. Let's see. I visited, we have teacher in-service days a couple of days before school starts, and I visited then. I like to go when the teachers don't have students there so I can really talk to them a little bit. And I was reminded, I'd completely forgotten this, that maybe about half the teachers at San Juan Elementary went to San Juan Elementary themselves. And it makes a very different school atmosphere. They have a new principal this year, Dr. Maria Cristina Barroso, who was at Las Palmas previously. So it's some changes, but I also think the community spirit is alive and well at San Juan Elementary. Such a nice school. Trustee Bullicus mentioned plays. I want to bring up Capital Valley High tonight, tomorrow, and Friday. They are producing a play called The Iliad, The Odyssey, and All of Greek Mythology in 99 minutes or less. At 7 p.m. each night, general admission $18, student ID $16. I haven't seen it yet. I do plan to go either tomorrow or Friday, but it sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. I have a friend whose child is in the play, and he says it's really funny, so I think it'll be worth going to. Other than that, I just want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Don't eat too much. Do the turkey trot, and I hope you have a nice break. Thanks.
Thank you. Trustees?
Oh, I did want to bring up, I'd requested some sensitivity training workshop stuff, and I haven't seen a follow-up about it, so I am kind of interested in the development of that. And I know somebody was telling me about Groundswell, an Orange County organization that did some work with one of our cities. I think it was in Mission Viejo. So I don't know if we're sort of sending out our requests to you, Brown, for what that might look like or shape, but that would be my encouragement for the board workshop.
Yeah, staff is looking into different vendors for different types of trainings, district-wide and for the board.
Trustee Costa? Okay, I've been on many campuses over the last month in San Clemente, and in fact, all 9, and great things are happening. Great things are happening everywhere. I love it. Had the opportunity to attend Adam's Family last weekend. Those of you that saw it was outstanding. I think it was a sold-out show all the way through, and they ended up bringing in extra bleachers or extra chairs along the sides, and just fantastic. Fall sports is wrapping up. San Clemente High School had a playoff game last weekend where they played against Vista Murrieta, and San Clemente won 32-7, so they are moving on. Exciting. And today I had the opportunity to attend BAM's Swell, which is, BAM's is a middle school, Bernice Air Middle School, and it is a model PLC school. So they had about 30 or 40 teachers that came from other districts to come and watch what they do during that intervention time, where they take students and focus on very specific targeted skills that are needed. And to watch them in action was incredible. And the panel of teachers that spoke at the end after we toured the different classrooms was just fantastic. And the way that they engage and interact and get students, and it was fun to watch the kids in 4 minutes get to their classes, and you could see 1,000 students with their agenda in hand, because that's kind of the ticket into the door. And there's a way that it's all done, and it's done so fantastically, and the collaboration is incredible. And Principal Stever and the direction for the staff there is they just do an excellent job. And we had one other assistant principal from Vista that attended, and it just was great to see and great to hear how that has come about and where it is now. And we went into classes where there is specific targeted skills that maybe they didn't quite get and didn't master. And then they go into that class, but it's not necessarily your assigned class teacher. And then also into a class that is doing some front loading. So maybe think students that are AP bound, they are looking for more, and they're preparing for the test that's coming tomorrow. So they want more time. They could have chosen to have some other choice, but they are choosing to get extra help that way. So it covers the whole gamut. So anyway, I was grateful to be at that and to be able to see that in action. Lots of things happening, so thank you. And we will move on to, I'd like to acknowledge the retirees listed on this month's agenda. The classified employees on this month's agenda with significant amount of years in our district. Cody LaCroix, custodian 1, 36 years in the district. Eddie Gardia, custodial 3, 30 years. Luis Rodriguez, custodian 1, 25 years. William Butler, heavy equipment operator for 24 years. Leslie Niddle, enrollment technician for 22 years. And Ken O'Toole, high school campus supervisor, 9 years. Move on to oral communication. And the total time for oral communication shall be 20 minutes. Ms. Schwenke, do we have any speaker cards for oral communication?
Yes, we have 5 speakers, so per board policy 9323, meeting conduct, they will be allowed 3 minutes.
Thank you.
All right, so I will call the names. Please incline up. Student Cameron Pham, Lisa Myers, William Strand, Linda Haddock, and Linda Moore. Ms. Pham?
Cameron, go ahead.
Hi, good evening. My name is Cameron Pham. I am currently a senior at Dana Hills High School. I'd like to address a recent policy implemented at my school, evidence-based grading. I've noticed a few issues regarding this new policy, including myself, peers around me, and concerning my teachers. This policy has excluded late work penalties, so now students can turn in late work without there being any penalty. And now we have also implemented test retakes, so students are now allowed to retake tests up to full credit. I've noticed that this has discouraged a lot of work ethic amongst students and has created increased workload for my fellow teachers and peers. One of the policy articles lists that teachers will utilize multiple measures by which students may demonstrate mastery. I've noticed that very few teachers are utilizing multiple measures, and instead of articulating their curriculum to fit this new policy, they've just implemented the no late work policy and the retaking policy with their old curriculum. I believe that teachers, in order for this policy to truly show the progress of students and for them to demonstrate mastery, that teachers should be assisted in reshaping their curriculum to help fit this new policy across all types of subjects. And that is all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ms. Myers? You may begin.
Good evening, everyone. I am here once again to raise my concern for the well-being of our Latino students and family. As I'm sure we have all seen, ICE continues to do horrific acts, such as invading a Chicago preschool and removing a teacher during school hours, and abducting a mother and her children who are here legally on a U visa in Portland. Her 4 children, who are US citizens, were kept in detention for 2 weeks until they were released, but she was kept in detention for 4 months, separated from her children until she was released last week. The trauma that people have endured, I have no words. What is our school board doing during this time to support our Latino community? Community members are hiding at home and afraid to go out. Students fear for their family's safety. One trustee recently publicly thanked church members for doing beautification projects, making things nice, but what about the people? Our people. 40% of our school district who have Latino heritage. Have the trustees reached out to the community organizations to see what they can do to help and support? Charlotte, North Carolina was the scene of the latest ICE raids this weekend. And if you don't care about student safety and well-being, perhaps this fact will make you reconsider your silence. On Monday, over 20,000 students stayed home from school in Charlotte. Maybe this financial implication can spur you to act. In this month of Thanksgiving, I am going to shine a light on the fact that there are amazing community organizations that are working behind the scenes to alert, inform, and educate the community about potential ice sightings around South Orange County. A few weeks back, there was a potential sighting near one of our elementary schools, one that I know is in your district. And a parent shared with me the feeling of widespread panic among the parents. This happened at 11 o'clock in the morning, so you can imagine what that community felt like until those kids got home safely that day. Where is the district leadership on this? Where are the trustees? Where is the public comment? Where is the action? What is being done to support our students and our families? Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Mr. Strand.
Good evening, trustees. My name's William Strand. I live in the Talega neighborhood of San Clemente. My daughter attends the adult transition program in San Juan, and our son recently graduated from San Juan Hills High School. Trustees, I'm here tonight to bring to your attention a major safety issue, discrimination and retaliation against our daughter at the adult transition program. I'm here tonight because I've worked my way up through staff and administrators, and our concerns have been dismissed. Our daughter is in her second year at adult transition. She loves school. She sat home today because she doesn't have safe nursing at school. She started the year, though, with a great nurse who's kept her safe. But we were told about 6 weeks ago by the principals that they wanted to train a backup nurse. We've always collaborated with staff and participated in training. Unfortunately, after 3 weeks of training and 2 parent observations, the backup nurse is not picking up her daughter's care. She does not follow the training, is physically aggressive towards our daughter, and injured our daughter on October 24th. Pictures have been provided to staff and the principals. Our concerns were dismissed. When we raised these concerns, the principal, Lucy Coppola, informed us that they were going to remove our daughter's full-time nurse and begin rotating the nurse who injured her every other week. This is why our daughter is home this week. For context, there is no other student in adult transition that's required to have a 1 week on, 1 week off rotation of 2 nurses. Additionally, other students within the last year at ATP have had safety issues with nurses, and their children's nurses were switched. We're not asking that our daughter's nurse be switched, we're asking that her full-time nurse be restored. This is discrimination against our daughter and retaliation against her by Lucy Coppola, the principal at ATP, and Kathy Purcell in the district office for their prior discrimination scheme against our daughter when she was a student at Dana Hills High School. For context, Lucy Coppola and Kathy Purcell kept our daughter out of school at Dana Hills High School for 1.5 years by continually switching her nurse every time she had a good nurse. Additionally, they finally came up with a scheme where they said that they had found a male nurse for our daughter, and our daughter could return to school anytime she wanted with a male nurse. There is no student in Capistrano Unified School District that's required to have a male staff member toilet and dress them.
Thank you, Mr. Strand. Our next speaker is Linda Haddock.
Hi, my name is Linda Haddock. I'm both an employee and I have 4 children that went through this system. And I am so glad they got out when they did, because this board is less than stellar. We have a board member who uses the N-word and takes months to even think about apologizing. We have another board member who last month, although she said it's not political, if you have to vote for it in a statewide vote, it is political. And taking her own forum, this forum, to say how she feels about voting. She can feel what she wants about voting. I totally agree with that, but this is not the forum to do that in. You don't do it as the leader of this board to tell people how they should vote. And I think that is just totally appalling. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Ms. Linda Moore.
Hit a little lower.
Go ahead.
I want to address something that came up during oral communications about 2 months ago. A parent of a student at San Juan Hills High reported that the school had put on a club rush, whereby their after-school clubs set up booths for students to peruse. One booth belonged to the Turning Point movement. At that booth, her daughter heard the speaker representing the club say, "If you're not willing to close the school, you shouldn't be on a school board. Buy weapons, buy ammo. If you go into a public place, bring a gun with you." This same person advocated for the elimination of federal and state departments of education. Top it off, her daughter reported that visiting this booth were 2 members of our CUSD school board, Lisa Davis and Judy Balakis. I cannot verify the veracity of all this, but I feel it should be looked into. If true, I believe that there is no place for this type of club on any of our campuses, and currently there are 3 high school campuses with this club. I would hope that all of the board members would be in agreement with that. Thank you for your time.
To discussion, action, information items. We're moving on to 12A. Trustee Jones.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion. We approved the agenda earlier, but we have an attorney here for item 12E, and I'd like to move that before 12A. It saves us some money if he's able to leave early. Thanks.
Okay, all those in favor, or second? Second. Trustee Bulkus, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 502. Okay, we'll move on to 12E. May I have a motion to adopt resolution number 2526-14, resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Capistrano Unified School District approving conditional authorization to distribute a request for proposals for the disposition of real property and reaffirming and finding real property to be exempt surplus land pursuant to the Surplus Lands Act, Los Robles property.
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Jones, seconded by Trustee Castellanos. I'd like to recognize Clark Hampton to introduce this item.
Thank you, President Davis. This item is a resolution authorizing staff to issue a RFP for the Los Robles property contingent on receiving a waiver from the State Board of Education. And legal counsel is here to answer any of your questions.
And just for clarity for the public, RFP is a request for proposals.
Sorry, I didn't.
Just clarifying what an RFP is, since we're going to use that term.
Good evening, President Davis, Board of Trustees, Dr. Brown, Cabinet, and those in the audience today. I'm Andreas Schaltis. We've met many times before, and I'm here to give you an update on the Los Robles property, as we call it, that the district owns. This is 7.292 acres in Pacifica, San Juan. The district, just by a brief history, acquired this through an agreement that was entered into in 2016. That was with Pacific Point Partners that owned that property that we're talking about here and the surrounding property. The option that the district had to acquire this property was for $6 million, and it allowed you all the way through March of 2022. So as that came due, and knowing it was only $6 million and the property is worth so much more than that, the district astutely acquired it for $6 million and has had it since. And let's see, so going back a ways, there's been a number of things that have occurred since then. We convened an advisory committee, which is a cross-section of the community, 7 to 11 members from various ilks, administration, landowner, renter, student representative, et cetera. And we convened a number of different meetings in open session, and they went through a process to learn about what options are available to school districts when potentially disposing of property, and essentially to make a recommendation after looking at student projection rates and the whole 9 yards. It then provided a final report, which, yes, actually recommended that the board declare the property surplus, meaning you don't need it for programs, school programs, and then the green light to sell it and or lease it, and to seek a waiver from the State Board of Education of the traditional bid process. And I'm going to explain that a little bit more because that's important to clarify. Then in March 12th, the board actually took action to do those things. It accepted the board, the advisory committee's recommendation and report. It declared the property surplus. It gave administration the green light to pursue a land lease or a sale of the property, and gave a green light to seek a waiver from the State Board of Education. Again, I'll explain that. And finally, had a finding that the property is exempt surplus land under the Surplus Lands Act. And I apologize for the length of that item, the resolution item. I know that's a lot of words. I promise I don't get paid by the hour. It's there for legal reasons. So thank you for allowing me some deference in having a long resolution. So the post-March of this year, we had what we needed to proceed. The administration and I actually met with collective bargaining units, and we talked about the waiver. We later submitted an application to the State Board of Ed to receive a waiver. And the idea with a waiver is that once received, the school board can send out a request for proposals to receive proposals from developers or anyone who might want to acquire the property, either through a sale or through a ground lease, and enter into up to 99 years of a ground lease scenario with the board and pay rent during all that time to you. Without going through an auction process. The auction is the default, if you will, if you don't seek a waiver. In order to dispose of property, you'd have to conduct an auction, have everybody come in, give you a bid, call for oral bids just like you would with a gavel and do an auction. The problem with that is, especially with ground leases, but also with sales, is you have a document, and in that scenario where you're doing an auction, you have to accept the highest bidder or reject all of them. You cannot negotiate, you cannot go with somebody that might have a better use for the property in your estimation, or a better chance of getting that property entitled through city and through the finish line and built. You have to go with the high only. And it's impossible, in my opinion, to even determine who the high bidder is on a lease arrangement, because they come in with the price of what they'll pay you in rent, but a whole host of changes to that ground lease document. And those are material changes that, somebody might say, I'm going to give you more money per lease, but others will say it's less, but it goes up faster over time with rent increases. So you get my point. It's difficult to actually know who the high is. Seeking the waiver and receiving it and doing an RFP, request for proposals, allows you to receive those proposals, read them, call people and confirm what you're reading to make sure it's apples to apples in your mind. You're corroborating what you see, negotiate, do a paper cut if you want, negotiate some more, interview if you want some of those entities who submitted, and ultimately choose one. When submitting those final proposals and showing the world those proposals, we do that in open session. We actually show all the proposals received, who was sort of shortlisted, if you will, and then the results of that. So these are the final proposals, these are the terms, and you will state for the record what is the most beneficial deal and why. It may be the best money. It may be the second or third in line in terms of money, but the product they're going to build, their ability to get it through the entitlement process, what have you, might determine in your mind who the highest and most beneficial is. Not highest value, but best, most beneficial. So that's the flexibility we're looking for with the waiver. That's why we've submitted it, and we just have not received it yet. Because this has taken a while, we want to make sure once it's received, we can move forward with sending out an RFP, distributing that RFP, the request for proposals for bidders to come in forward and tell us what they might want to do out on this property, how much they're willing to pay for it. So this resolution tonight asks you to give a conditional approval for the distribution of that RFP, conditioned only upon receiving that waiver. So once the State Board of Ed gives us the waiver, we don't have to come back. We go straight out to distributing that RFP and receiving proposals. So that's one of two things that this resolution does tonight. The other one is related to the Surplus Lands Act, and that's what made that a little bit wordy. The Surplus Lands Act, that body of law is there to promote affordable housing on public agency land, all sorts of public agencies. With school districts, there's a lot of exemptions. You can exempt the land, you can make it an exempt surplus land finding, exempt land finding, for a number of reasons. One was if you followed an advisory committee, which you did. So last March, you exempted this property from the Surplus Lands Act because you followed the advisory committee process. In June of this year, that exemption went away. The code changed. You're still exempt. You did it well before June 30th. You're golden in that respect. But because of that change and because there are other exemptions available, tonight we're simply bringing another exemption forward. That one is what we call a catch-all exemption, and it says that this land is also exempt from the Surplus Lands Act because you, in this resolution, make a finding that any revenue coming from the transaction will be put to your uses, the district's direct use. It's, maintenance, it's modernization, it's programs, it's initiatives, just funding those things. And you make that finding here just to say, yeah, the district money that we receive through this lease revenue or this sale revenue will be put to district uses. That's all it says. So that's the reasoning for those two. And I want to underscore that when we receive all of this, there'll be plenty more opportunity to talk about what those proposals look like. And ultimately, the whole community will see what all was received and why you're choosing who you're choosing. With that, any questions at all?
Thank you. Trustees? Okay.
Okay. Very good.
And thank you.
Thank you.
And if we could please, and we're going to need a roll call.
Trustee Castellanos?
Aye.
Trustee Pritchard?
Aye.
Trustee Zollinger is absent. Trustee Adams is absent. Trustee Jones?
Aye.
Trustee Bullicus?
Aye.
Trustee Davis?
Aye. Okay, and the motion carries 502. Thank you. And we'll move on. I'm sorry? Oh, you know what? Thank you. Did we have any speaker cards on that item? Thank you.
There were none.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, and we'll move back over to 12A, the Panorama Education Student Success Dashboard Implementation Update. This is information item only and no board action is necessary. And I'd like to recognize Clark Hampton, Deputy Superintendent, to introduce the item.
Thank you, President Davis, trustees. So earlier, the school district has implemented a new data dashboard for gathering different student information for student performance data. And I'd like to introduce Stephanie Avera, our Chief Technology Officer, to give an update to the board on where we are with its implementation and highlights of what the system can provide to us.
President Davis, trustees, Superintendent Brown, thank you for allowing me to give you an update on our new Student Success Dashboard. This dashboard gives us a panoramic view of our students. It helps us see their stories, their strengths, and opportunities for growth. Until now, our information such as attendance, behavior, academics, assessments, social emotional data, all lived in separate systems. This dashboard is a single comprehensive 360-degree view of how our students are progressing. It helps us move from simply collecting data to using data to drive meaningful action. If there are questions as I'm going to pause after each slide. And so if there's questions, I'll just pause and we can have a conversation, okay? All right, so the Student Success Dashboard helps us connect the dots. It seamlessly integrates with ARIES, our student information system, and other district systems. It helps us identify patterns early. It helps us address needs quickly and ensures that we give students the right support at the right time. As you can see by this slide, it shows that it pulls together academic, behavioral, and social emotional data in one place. and it connects every part of the student's CUSD journey, from Dibbles and iReady in early elementary to ACT, SAT, AP scores in high school.
Just if you remember, one of the things we've talked about over the last 2 years since I've been here is that infrastructure for gathering data and gathering actionable data. So for example, one of the things that we've implemented is the PANORAMA surveys, which meets our LCAP survey requirement for the state, but also allows our sites to gather much more timely information and actionable information about student well-being, student sense of safety, student sense of academic progress, growth mindset, self-efficacy, those types of things. And instead of having that have to stand alone in its own login, it'll be pulled into this dashboard to go right alongside with the iReady and the Dibbles and everything, so that our staff has one place to go where they can see all of our new infrastructure data as well as old stuff that we did.
Okay. At the district level, it allows us to monitor trends across schools and across student groups to ensure equity and consistency in academics, attendance, and interventions. At the school view, at the school level, principals and leadership teams dig into attendance, academics, behavior, and trends to make data-informed decisions about their students. And at the classroom level, teachers will have the opportunity to view student profiles, bringing everything together: grades, attendance, behavior, and well-being, so they have a complete picture of each learner in one place. One of the most impactful tools is the attendance dashboard. This allows us to track chronic absenteeism in real time. It helps us identify which students don't have an intervention plan and put one in place in real time. This platform also gives us access to a library of more than 900 evidence-based intervention strategies in their playbook. These resources are embedded directly into the platform, and teachers and administrators can find and apply these strategies to support their students. And the part of the platform that I'm most excited for teachers and administrators to see is the AI tool, which is called Solera. Solera is specifically designed for education. No data ever leaves the platform. It does not make decisions for us. It just helps us find insights faster and focus time where it matters most, supporting students.
Can I interrupt here with a question?
Absolutely.
So, not necessarily for anyone's screen, but particularly in our elementary schools, I mean, it's so important to have that foundation in elementary, which some students don't really get when they ought to be getting it, in our opinion. And I've been in some schools where they have a data wall somewhere where they've got, it's away from the students, so they're not going in and seeing what their friend's data looks like. But, you know, this student in their beginning of the year, they did so-and-so, and then maybe they didn't get very much of a boost in middle year or end of year, so they need some extra attention. So it sounds to me like what you're saying is this either powers or takes the place of the data wall. This is no longer something that has to be produced separately. Does that make sense?
Right. There's no longer silos of data. So we don't have a silo of data in a principal's office or wherever they may be displaying it. Okay. And it's just in one platform where all the data is integrated into this one system.
So instead of going into the room where the data wall is kept, a teacher can just bring this up on their screen?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
And when we think about like the teacher hours required to gather all these disparate sources of data and put them together, that's now done, right? It'll be there, and it'll be AI queryable, so you could ask plain language questions that could query the data and pull together things that you didn't even think to pull together because they were so hard and for us to find to pull together into one spot. So the idea is that it's quicker for principals, quicker for teachers, more accessible, And we can look at insights a little quicker.
So question, so the teachers have the ability to query what they want to look at and bring it into like their own report?
They will. Teachers do not have access yet. Right now, we just have administrators in there. But eventually, teachers will be able to pull up their classroom, and they will be able to use the AI tool within there and ask for insights based on all the data that has been siloed into this program.
And when do we anticipate that being rolled out for teacher access?
We're hoping the fall of 26, 27. This spring, we're going to bring counselors into the program. Administrators have already been trained, and we're going to move with counselors in the spring, and then hopefully our teachers in the fall of 26, 27. Right? Yes. Okay. Any other questions?
I have a couple questions. Okay. So, no longer silos.
Right.
Right. And does this dashboard look different to the participant? That, like, for instance, a teacher versus an admin?
Yes.
So a teacher is only accessing maybe their information that's pertinent to them.
Yes.
And the administrator is looking at the school as a whole. Is that my understanding?
Yeah, that was one of the big parts of the RFP, is making sure that they could do what's called permissioning correctly, right? So we're gonna have all this data that's pulling on the back end, but as a teacher, when you log in, your permissions are only really to see your students, right? So your dashboard looks different. The principal, you get to see all the students at your school, but you don't get to see the school next door is all of their students, right? So that's the permission level. And then when you move up to a district level administrator, we can see the district. It also changes the insights, right? When we look at the trends, we're looking at trends across middle schools or across elementary schools. They're looking at their site and what their individual kids are growing. So yes, the dashboards and the readouts change because they don't get to see everyone's data.
And is this a internal dashboard only, or is this a public-facing dashboard with, I mean, not with any confidential information, but allowing some information out? This is only internal dashboard?
It is only internal.
Only internal. Okay, thanks.
But could, I can understand that a principal can't go look at this other principal's data, but could they see it aggregated, that let's say 90% of fifth graders are well-prepared in math over at your neighboring school?
So I would say this is our ed services, our associate superintendents who work with all the principals at the schools can show them an aggregate of all their fifth grade students. So they would have access to all the schools to be able to pull that data.
Okay, so they would have to go through someone in the district office.
And as we build dashboards, as we work with principals, there'll be certain sort of stock dashboards and then other data sources they can query. So as they build them, if they wanted to see what the district average is, they could have that in their dashboard. They wouldn't be able to drill into it because it has kids that aren't theirs, right? But that's part of the dashboard building process is what specific data, which is why it takes a while to lift one of these things off the ground. Because if you launch it with all the wrong dashboards, people stop using it immediately. Right, so you have to get all the stakeholders involved to figure out exactly which dashboards. So because before they become power users, they just look at it, right? And it's got to look useful right away.
Okay.
What about department heads? Do they have access to their whole department if they're, or would that just be admin on site?
They would, at first, the teachers who are department heads would have access only to their classrooms, yes, that they teach.
I have a question. So I was at a K through 8 today at the Council Advisory Committee meeting, and one of the key conversations was chronic absenteeism. So you mentioned that the counselors will receive this in the fall, and I would guess that there will be nuances and things like that. But since the counselors have been chosen, will they have everything up and running? Will there be just segments like, let's say, absenteeism, where we try to work with families and students on that, and then maybe those getting D's and F's to focus? Or will they have the plethora like ready to go this fall? I just wondered how much they'll get in the beginning.
We'll have counselors in there in the spring.
I'm sorry, in the spring. I'm saying fall, we're in fall.
Right. So we're bringing the company back, PANORAMA, back to train our counselors on what they will see in the platform. What Ed Services decides to give access to the counselors will be up to them. Basically, if it's their school site, they should have access to what's at their school site so they can help the students that they are in charge of.
And that's what part of the first round of training looks like, right? So as we do the first round of training, we meet counselors and we, based on our initiatives, based on what you're working on, what do you want to see on your first screen? What should that first dashboard be? So rather than us trying to assume we know, that's why we do that training process. So counselors will be involved in that, determining what they see first, what rolls out first, and then what builds in later.
So this is being rolled out essentially to us tonight to learn a little bit more. Do the schools, do the teachers know about this yet, or the counselors?
Admin knows about it. Teachers, I don't think know about it. Counselors don't. They'll get it in the spring, right? So this was, we talked about this. We did the contract for this last spring.
Last March, I think.
Yeah, so this is just a status update. So we did the contract last March. They spent the summer building the APIs to bring the data from all of the different vendors into the data lake or data warehouse architecture that they're using. And now we're gonna go start training our end users to use it, right? And working with our end users. So it's just a multi-step process, and we wanted to share where we were with it with you guys.
Could you imagine a time when parents would also have a view of this dashboard so they could see what an educator sees with their child at a school site and give some, I mean, I imagine with AI, parents are already putting their kids into ChatGPT at some level and going, what do I do if, and so I don't know of anybody that isn't using AI to some level to explore the what ifs of the world. And this seems somewhat tame version of that, because dashboards have been around forever, and it's data quality usually is people's like, well, this is not the picture that I had, and what's wrong, and then you try to figure out, well, what are we not collecting, or what's being overemphasized, and the AI is supposed to sort of fine-tune that kind of
Exactly. I will say right now that there is not a parent-facing part of this product. However, a teacher that is having a parent conference with a child could pull their students' data and share it with them while they're in the conference with them.
It encourages a change in the conversations that you might have, because you had to guess at some of this or have your feelings about it, and then now you have some hard numbers to go, well, I know what we felt and what we thought, but that number there is a problem. And so absenteeism, right, is kind of the focal point. And if you see that go into the 8 or 9% absentee, it starts sending, because how do you educate a child if they're not showing up to school? And that might be the larger symptom to.
It is very obvious when you pull up a child's profile, when they are missing a lot of school and their grades kind of match that, if they're not coming to school, what's happening. And so it's very obvious when you pull up that screen that this is an issue. You can't hide it anymore because it's right in front of you. You don't have to go to another system to pull that data. It's right in front of you, right next to their grades. So it's very obvious. And it also does, not to get into too much detail, but it also will say period by period absent. So if like this student has a D and they have 8 absences in that period, and they have an A and 0 absences in that period, it's very obvious what's going on. And it's right there.
Predictive analytics as well, I would imagine. You start incorporating the AI. So right before the individual starts doing certain things, there's behaviors that a system of data can actually start detecting before a human does. It's kind of like with medical records and your physician. There will be millions and billions of different keystrokes and clicks give a different world of understanding of something than what we
and I would say with the AI, the playbook that is part of it will help teachers with that predictive analytics, deciding, okay, I can see this student going down this road. What can I do? What intervention strategies can I use to support them before it's too late?
Then the literature on that stuff improves because of all these data sets that are being incorporated from all of the districts throughout the country. Now it's kind of like medical records, right? That whole, well, we were able to figure out things we never even thought we knew about patients, about products, all kinds of things. And this is another level of that kind of awareness that we really never had as educators.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Fascinating to me.
Yes, it's very exciting. Me too. Any other questions? So, in summary, this empowers every student their strengths and their opportunities for growth. And this is just, like Dr. Brown said, this is an update of our implementation. It's been a journey to get all of our data in there, to say the least, and we just wanted to share where we are right now. And so, thank you.
Thank you. I love the rollout, and I love the markers and the way we're going to be able to look at attendance with grades, with behavior, all together. And just having all the data in one location will be great. Thank you.
I wonder if I could just make a quick comment. Years ago, when I was still a programmer, I hardly even remember those days, I worked with a company that was a startup doing a very early AI project. And they were tasked with helping banks determine what home loans to fund. And they couldn't redline, they couldn't say, well, you know, you live in this neighborhood or this race or whatever. They had to do it on some objective criteria. And it was so interesting to me, and this to me is what AI really is all about, more than sort of what we hear about it today, this predictive capability where maybe it was like your middle name had 5 letters in it, or you were under 6 feet tall or something like that. It had all this data about you, and it figured out, based on things that one might not suspect, were actual predictors of you paying off your loan or not. So I really appreciate what Dr. Pritchard talks about, that the predictive ability is awfully important, and we don't always think of this in AIs, but how, I mean, that was my first exposure to an AI many, many moons ago, and I think it is really much more important than finding out like how to caulk a bathtub or something.
I think you're right, and the predictive analytics on it will be able to benefit all of our districts. I love it. Thank you. Okay, Ms. Swink, do we have any speaker cards on this item?
There are none.
Thank you. Okay, trustees, any other discussion? Okay, and this is information, pardon me? Oh, this is information item only. Okay, we'll move on to 12B. 12C, just kidding. May I have a motion to approve Board Policy 9270, Conflict of Interest, on the first reading and return for a second reading on consent?
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Jones. Seconded by Trustee Castellanos. I'd like to recognize Dr. Chris Brown, Superintendent, to present the item.
Thank you, trustees. This is a new action item. Board Policy 9270, Conflict of Interest, was first adopted in 2004, later updated in 2016, and there's been a significant change in the law that requires changes to this, and specifically how you approve it through resolution. And so based on that, we're bringing this policy this year. It will now be approved every 2 years, and it has to be approved not only with policy but also through resolution. So you'll see we have a resolution later that goes with this policy for conflict of interest. And rather than showing one with track changes due to the legal complexity of the wording that has to be required in a policy like this, we're proposing the deletion and then the recreation of the policy. So the artifacts show the original policy as a deletion, and the reason the new one is all green is because a lot of the language comes across, but it comes across in a streamlined form as opposed to making a giant document of red lines and whatnot. So staff recommends approval with the return for a second reading.
Do we have any speaker cards on this item?
Yes, we have one speaker.
Thank you.
Mr. Samuel Penrod.
Good evening, Board. My comment tonight begins with a basic question. What benchmarks did the Board use when drafting the revised conflict of interest policy? Despite tonight's resolution suggesting that the current code needs no substantial change, the revised policy still contains serious gaps. First, there's a new requirement that trustees or staff obtain permission before seeking independent legal or ethics advice, and it introduces gatekeeping. It undermines transparency and may discourage trustees or staff from asking compliance questions at all. Instead of strengthening ethical safeguards, it signals to the public that this board may be erecting barriers to transparency rather than removing them. For comparison, LA Unified explicitly provides staff and board members with direct access to their ethics office. No permission required. Corona Norco Unified, comparable to here, imposes no such restrictions. Second, the revised policy introduces the vague phrase, other personal interests. This term has no definition in FPPC regulations, Government Code Paragraph 1090, or the Political Reform Act. Without objective standards, it cannot be enforced fairly, and it creates ambiguity where ethical policy requires clarity. Third, the revised policy includes no reporting, no enforcement pathway for potential violations. Districts such as LA Unified clearly outline how concerns are reported, logged, reviewed, and resolved. CUSD leaves all of that undefined in this policy. And finally, let's be honest here with one another. Across California, partisan groups aligned with culture war, anti-public education, and school choice movements have been strategically targeting school boards. Their goals are clear: sow public distrust, push culture war agendas, and ultimately redirect public resources into private or religious charter school networks. When trustees accept campaign contributions from organizations that stand to profit, that's not a hypothetical conflict. That is a textbook one. So my ask tonight is straightforward. Address these gaps in the policy. Our community deserves a policy that strengthens public trust and ensures decisions are made transparently, fairly, and in the public interest. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, trustee discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Oh, this is a roll call item. Thank you.
Sorry. Trustee Castellanos? Trustee Pritchard?
Aye.
Trustee Zollinger is absent. Trustee Adams is absent. Trustee Jones?
Aye.
Trustee Bullicus?
Aye.
Trustee Davis?
Aye. Okay, motion passes 502. And we'll move on to 12D. We have a motion to adopt resolution number 2526-13, adopting a conflict of interest code. Moved by Trustee Castellanos, seconded by Trustee Bullicus. And I'd like to recognize Dr. Chris Brown, Superintendent, to introduce the item.
This is the follow-on to the item we just considered. Based on Government Code 87300-87313, every public agency, including school boards, are required to adopt a conflict of interest code and are required to do so via a resolution. So the code will come back, the policy will come back, along with the associated AR as needed for a second read, but this is the resolution that has to go with it to comply with law.
Okay, Mrs. Swanky, do we have any speaker cards?
There are none.
Okay, discussion?
I would just like to say the speaker just left. This speaker, to the best of my knowledge, did not email any board members. And I would have liked an opportunity to perhaps talk to him on the phone or, you know, anyone who had an issue with this. And it is discouraging to me sometimes when people come and make comments in public session, which we're not really able to respond to, and we're not able to really do much on a practical basis here on the dais at the last minute. But I read all my emails. I think everybody on the board reads all their emails, and I think a lot of us respond to emails and engage with the public when they bring items to our attention. And I would have liked to have had this brought to my attention, and I'm just sorry that that doesn't happen, and I do hope that people will do that. This is not your only opportunity to talk to the board. Really, the best opportunity is in email. And anybody who is here or is listening, I hope that in the future, if you have an issue you'd like to bring to our attention, you will email us. Thank you.
Well, also, since we voted in the affirmative, if we take the speaker's cue and we review some of those comments, we can always pull it. So if you voted not in the affirmative, then you'd be in the minority and wouldn't be able to do it. So this just puts it on the next calendar item. So if there is some concern, and then you can look at the ARs and see how this is regulated, have a more informed opinion. But I don't disagree, but I don't think this vote is against that speaker. It's just simply.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And you make a good point. It's just that I find this often that that members of the public seem to believe that their only bite of the apple is speaking in a board a meeting. And frankly, I think that's not your best bite of the apple at all. I mean, anybody who has ever emailed me and gave me their phone number got a surprise, because I called them up in most instances, and we talk about stuff. And I think many other board members call people that write to us. So I just wish that the public would do that. But yes, I appreciate your comment, Dr. Pritchard.
Mrs. Winky, do you have any speaker cards for this item?
There are none.
Thank you. Can you please call the roll?
Trustee Castellanos.
Aye.
Trustee Pritchard.
Aye.
Trustee Zollinger is out. Trustee Adams is out. Trustee Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Bullicus.
Aye.
Trustee Davis.
Aye. Motion carries 502. Okay, and we are moving on to, we'll be moving on to the consent calendar. Mrs. Swinky, do you have any speaker cards for these items?
We have none.
Thank you. Okay, trustees, do we have any trustees that have, would like to pull any consent items? Okay, we have a motion to approve the consent calendar. Moved by
Second.
trustee Jones, seconded by trustee Bullicus. Ms. Swinky, can you please call the roll?
Trustee Castellanos.
Aye.
Trustee Pritchard.
Aye.
Trustee Zollinger is out. Trustee Adams is out. Trustee Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Bullicus.
Aye.
Trustee Davis.
Aye. Motion carries 502 to approve the consent calendar. And with that, may I have a motion to adjourn? Oh, yes. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Before doing so, I just wanted to thank the staff for their hard work on all of these board policies. I mean, truly, I was impressed with the work the staff did, and we got through a lot of these. Well, we got through all of them on the last workshop, which was also a major lift by the staff. But I really wanted to thank the staff for what they did here. But am I making a motion to adjourn? I will do that. Okay.
Mr. Jones? And second by
Second.
trustee Bullicus. And before we close, I'd like to just let you know we'd like to close this meeting in honor of the student that's passed away from Niguel Hills Middle School. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 502 to adjourn the meeting. The time is now 7:17 p.m. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.